All right, we're ready to get started. It's December 12th, 2025. We are going to get started on flatbed build. Yesterday, got all of the camera switched. Yesterday, we got all the gussets cut for the outside. Working right now with the saw, cutting a few spacer pieces. With the way that's held up on top, where'd that other piece go? I might have left it over here. Yeah, here it is. Didn't like the way this piece sat, so I cut those little spacers so that now it sits a little more even instead of letting it be a big gap. Instead of letting it be a big gap under there. Just tuck that in there and fill that in. It just look a little cleaner. So I'm gonna gusset all of them. I understand this doesn't need a gusset, but it's approximately a third of a pound added weight. We'll call it a third. I'm not worried about it. A little bit of extra weld ain't gonna hurt nothing. So I'm gonna get, I got two cut. I gotta get two more cut for all four corners. And then we're gonna weld all these in. I got someone coming out and he's gonna help me put it back on the frame over there. And then we're gonna he's gonna help me start hanging the sides. That's gonna be a difficult thing to do with just one person. Those 10 gauge sheets are pretty dead gum heavy. Also, we got our Gen Y 12 inch long. So it's 12 inch long. It's a 2.5 inch, fits a 2.5 inch receiver. I am not overly thrilled with the Gen Y fit and finish here. You know, I understand this is a fabricator's piece and it's supposed to, you know, be made to fit in your project, but I was expecting a little bit better. I mean, it's not even welded on the backside here. I'll go through and weld this collar on, at least stitch weld something in there just to help hold it. But yeah, I mean, you got holes here where the welding wasn't finished right and wasn't smoothed out. Not thrilled. I mean, it's the piece I needed, so I'm gonna make it work. At the end of the day, it's just some square tubing, but I wanted it to have that lip and look how this one does. I'm gonna cut some gussets and weld some gussets on it. They won't be this big, but I'm gonna cut some gussets. I just like the way this hitch looks. It looks like a beefy, solid hitch. And I like the way that it had this lip going all the way around it. I just like the way it looks. So, you'll notice this one's welded fully on the backside. So, you know, I get it's gonna be all right, but I could have made one, but I wanted it to have that lip. And I didn't want to fool with buying a small piece, a little bit bigger, and I didn't want to fool with all that. So I think this was $50, something like that. So shouldn't complain too much, but fit and finish could have been better. All right, we're gonna cut some more of those pieces and start welding this up going around. 14 and a quarter. 14 and a quarter. 14 and 3/4. How in the heck did I do that? That end down there, I think so. I can fix that later if I need to. Huh. I still think it's gonna be all right. I just may have to do some tweaking. Perfect timing. All right, today is December 13th, I think. Yeah, today's December 13th, starting another work period on the flatbed. Had somebody come over and help me last night, but we didn't make it as far as I wanted to. I had a little mess up, so let me show you what. All right, when I set this 2x6, I set it all the way, y'all saw, I set it right at the edge, flush. Flush is the way I set it. What I needed to do was set it back far enough for the metal, for the 10 gauge metal, to come and butt up against it and sit flush, and I didn't do that. So as a result, I had to go through and grind. I cut with the cutoff wheel, made little small shavings, and then smoothed them up with the grinder. I didn't want to put the 10 gauge on top of this piece, because then I would have this section here that wouldn't get welded, and I'm worried about rust, and I don't want it to have opportunities to rust, and you know, that would bleed through into the paint or down into the boxes. All kinds of mess I didn't want to deal with. So this is going to be the outside of the body, and then this will butt up in here and sit flush. I'll come in with some angle iron under here, some angle, so that in between and in these gaps, I can force the metal out where you don't see waves as you go down. It's not wavy. So I did get one of them cut, and as we started to hang it, we noticed it wasn't going to work. It was sitting proud. It was sitting out. So that didn't work. I did get it, we did move it back over here and put it on the truck. I did measure, these are stainless steel fenders, 80 inch round stainless steel roll form fenders. Those are going to fit perfectly. I thought I could shrink those down just a little bit, but it's just not going to work. I might have a couple of, an inch on both sides. I could pull it in tighter, but it's not worth the headache to try to cut wedges, squeeze it together, weld it back together, and then smooth it off and make it a mirror the same as the rest of it. It's just too much work. I'm not gonna do that. So it's gonna stick out on the back side back here just a little bit further than I'd like, but it's gonna be okay. Takes up a little bit of room where the box are gonna be, but again, it's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna get these tacked on and then somehow put a radius of where the tire is, and then I'll pull it off, set it back over there on our sawhorses, and we'll start piecing this thing together. supporting it, making sure they're all vertical. We'll do all that over on the sawhorse. I just want to get these put up here and heavy tacked into place where they'll hold, and then we'll move it over there and do more work away from the truck. Trying to not ruin the paint and everything else I've done to the truck so far, so trying not to ruin that. So trying to kind of jump back and forth and be careful. It is going to need, those boxes are going to need to be supported, and supported well enough that the whole bed can sit down on the bottom of the boxes and the bottom of this outside. So that, you know, I can take it off, flip it, I can do all of that. It needs to be sturdy, so we got to make it sturdy. All right, well, we're going to get to it. I'm also cooking some red beans and rice today, so I'm gonna be in and out a little bit, checking on that. So that's where we are. Well, shoot. All right. So I tried to score it. I tried to score it here and then be able to turn it up. So this is going to be my bottom edge. The rough edge here will be the top edge going across. So I'm wanting to lay it down the side and then bend it to come this way and then bend it to go that way. But I ain't strong enough. I can't bend it. I scored it pretty good. It's halfway through or better. I don't want to go any further. I don't want to start taking away integrity. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do now. I don't really want it to be, I want it to be more of a radius. I want it to be a radius because if it's not, you'll have a seam. You'll have a seam going down right here and you'll have a seam going down right there. I'm not worried about that being a seam, but I don't want that to be a seam. Let me keep trying to score it. Let me see if that works. All right, got it worked out. Let's look at what it looks like. So what I did is I took and scored it real heavy, really heavy, but it doesn't look bad from this side. So I scored it real heavy, cowboy clamped it down, used these two clamps and this piece, set it right across where my bend needed to be, clamped it down. With this piece right here, having that as a support, going across and welding to there, you're not gonna torque that, I mean, it might, I don't think I could. It'd break all this off before I bent that. I ain't that strong. But took the torch, put a little bit of heat on it. I am running dang near out of oxygen. So put as much heat on it as I could, and then let it come up. I'm gonna take it over there and fit it, and just make sure it fits. If it does, I'll bring it back over here and I'll run a real thin bead across both of these just to seal those back up. Take the flap disc and kind of wash them back out a little bit. But it's gonna, I mean, I think that looks pretty deadgum good. You can kind of still see my boot print. By the end of this one, getting it bent, I did this one just the opposite. I had it upside down, had it clamped, and was bending it down. I was bending it down away from here. By the end of it, I was hauling butt and kicking it with my boot just to get it a little bit more. So we got it. All right, set you up and we'll keep moving. I'm excited. That looks awesome. That looks absolutely awesome. So right here, that's just gonna be a little bit proud. I mean, it ain't bad. I've obviously got to pull it in tight, but that's just gonna be a little bit proud right there. I've obviously got to suck this up. I mean, it's got to be fit, but dadgummit if that don't look good. And it lined up just perfectly here where I can weld this seam and weld that seam, brush those smooth. I haven't decided if I'm gonna I may put a small strip of diamond plate aluminum down through right there. I haven't fully decided that yet, but dadgummit if that don't look fantastic. You know, I gotta pick it up where I can get it welded up in here, and that 2x3 you see sitting right there is gonna go all along the bottom, all the way around. Well, not here where the wheel well is gonna be cut out, but it's gonna go all the rest of the way around it. And then across the back here, 4-inch channel will be, or 4-inch square tube will be right here for my receiver hitch. And then more, that it's 2-inch by 3-inch, so I stick out 2 inches down, and I can weld this seam at the bottom and then still have a little, it's gonna be a little less than 1 inch, but I'll still have enough room on the backside. I can drop down my supports to help hold it up. I can drop those down because it'll be, what am I trying to say? I'll have a ledge that I can weld onto that square 2-inch by 3-inch. I can weld onto it back here and hold that up, and that just kind of be a little bumper rail, I guess, to go around the outside, and it'll bring me level even with the step, and then it'll help me set my 2-inch stick out for my stainless steel fenders. All gonna be great. I was wondering how the heck I was gonna clamp it, and I had a light bulb moment. Just take a piece of C-channel, clamp it to this 1/4 inch wall, and then I'll be able to bump it up and clamp it on the bottom. That'll hold it vertical, and it'll hold it in the correct position where I can come through and weld it. So that was my little epiphany moment just a few minutes ago, was, hey, I can do it that way. All right, I'm excited. I got this one set. I'm gonna get this side tacked, and then I'll go to the other side, and then I'll make my marks where I want my sides to be, where I want my boxes to be. I'm going ahead and get the mark for the fender well, get that cut out. I mean, lots of work to do. Not. All right, we're still on December 13th. I got some work done, so I'll show you what we got done. So I got this piece bent. I think I showed you that a minute ago. I was trying to figure out a way to keep it up, so I put these on there, and I got some more coming down here, so it'll keep it true and level as I weld these down. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna weld the whole thing. I did weld the whole thing up here because I was having to force it into place, so I did weld this flush. But I'll just stitch it a couple of places down this side until I get it all, till I get my frame around the bottom and my bracing up in the corners, and somewhere right in the middle I'm gonna put braces. Until I get all that done, I'm not gonna weld it fully, because I am worried, even with these, that it'll dish it in. So I'm just gonna tack it well enough to hold it. Might get started on the other side today, might not. So we'll see. I think we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. Just go inside and relax a little bit, but got it stitch welded, so it's not going anywhere. But I'm gonna leave these supports on overnight so that it gets good and fully cooled before we move forward. So that's the plan.